Live.
And we're live. Good day, everyone. This is Richie, and welcome to our first live open mic session on Alien Adventure. I'm with my esteemed colleagues. Guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Ladies first.
Okay, first of all, I just wanted it to be known, if anyone calls my character a lady, she will be very unhappy with that person. Okay. I am Nazumi. Nice to meet everybody. My character is Aloria Lostein. She is a fighter. And if you insult her or she feels you've done something horrible, she will take your kneecaps.
Nice.
I'm not sure what else to say.
And going over to you, Ron.
So I'm Ron L, and I run Braddock Spellhammer as part of the campaign in Guildfest, which is a custom world or campaign environment that Richie created. Give him a little props there. And Braddock is a
I thought you played Durin.
Durin.
Durin
I'm sorry.
Stonheim. Yeah.
Yeah, Durin. Sorry, Durin Stoneheim. I have another dwarf named Braddock. I apologize. Durin Stoneheim. Um, he is a priest of Moradin, and he's the resident company healer and buffer and protector by the means of Moradin. And he's always looking to improve his ability through crafting, and he has that opportunity. He also likes blacksmithing on the side. He's not afraid of picking up his warhammer, which is um, emblazoned with Moradin's holy symbol on it, and carrying it into combat if he needs to. He's a high mountain dwarf from the North Coldlands, and he doesn't he's he considers himself a paramedic type of cleric. So one of his uh, one of his team members starts to go down or get heavily injured, he'll get right in the thick of it and sacrifice taking hits for the purpose of healing the group. So that's Durin. Yeah, I said where
Thank
he
you,
came
Ron.
from, right?
And
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
thank you, Ron. Thank you, Nizumi. So I'm Richie. I'm obviously the dungeon master of this group for the EO Safray campaign. We're currently running a session. We started back in early January of 2015, and so far we've had a change of group members recently because of availability. So this is the second adventure in the campaign we're running right now. Um, so this session is entitled Guns, Goons, and Gold. It's a D&D 3.5e based discussion. We're here to discuss the different in-game rewards that one can add to their campaigns, the different kinds and most terrifying villains that one may encounter, and lastly, our spellcasting adventure that's currently in the works. So this is our agenda, but being at open mic, we might eventually include some things here and there, which is perfectly normal as with any roundtable discussion is supposed to be. So first up, we'd like to talk about like rewards. What are the usual rewards that one can get in the game? Well, normally the rewards that one can have is like you back in the earlier days of Dungeons and Dragons. You go into a dungeon, kill a dragon, kill a minotaur, and there's treasure lying at the back. That's the usual setup. It's like your usual hack and slash dungeon crawl adventure. So I mean
Boring.
that idea has been a little bit stale since with all these role playings, going on, and with the event of a 5e campaign, people have innovated how they give out their rewards. So, what do you guys think of those? What are the kinds of rewards that appeal to your character? I mean, what kinds of rewards that you appreciate?
Well, yeah, I thought Nazumi was going to speak, but for Duran, for me, there's three types of awards. What I call the selfish award. How does it improve me personally? The group based award. What's something that will help the group overall? And I'll give examples in a minute of each. Then the last one, um, I like to call the surprise category. Something unexpected that's not necessarily selfish, not necessarily group based, but is fairly inventive by the DM on uh, a prospect of reward for you know a good gameplay. So for personal, for like Duran would be, he is actively wanting to increase his strength. So gauntlets of ogre power is something he would, campaign for, would actively search out, trying to find, or something that would improve his armor class since he doesn't carry a shield, or a shield that would give him, wouldn't infect his encumbrance or his weight, from a personal standpoint. From a group standpoint, it might be a bag of holding that everyone can keep collective treasure in. So even though he would get personal benefit, it could benefit the entire team. Gauntlets of Overstrength really only benefits one person, right, Richie?
Yes, that's correct.
And then something that's unusual is something like something that you weren't thinking of, that like a trick rope that the DM throws in there that will do your bidding, can scale a wall and tie itself off and assist you in climbing a wall, or immediately throwing it out and letting someone get captured, or doing a variety of things, wrapping around a broom and helping clean up the crummy lodgings in which you're staying. So something that's unique is kind of that third category, where not something you would ever want or expect, but when you finally get it, it's going, oh, this is pretty cool. What say you, Nate, Ms. Juni?
Um, Not all that sure. Bag of holding would be great. Just bag of holdings everywhere, but not all that sure yet.
Yeah,
Right
Ron kind of
now,
like classified the in-game
yeah.
rewards into like purpose. Yeah, there's categorized it in basically his character's rewards, the group reward, and something that kind of like a group reward with a twist, like that would serve the adventurer's purpose or the DM's purpose later on in the game.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How I see it is like um, rewards can be like different types. It could be in form of like normal treasure, where I mean you can either get gold, gems, or um, compensation, or kind of like recognition in the game. Like you become famous. The group or the party becomes famous in town because of their exploits and their previous encounter. They get obviously compensated for their efforts via gold pieces. Um, and the next type would be XP. Like everyone would like to level up at some point and probably get the perks of their character's next level, either via spells, new weapons, new feats, new skills, as far as 3.5e is concerned. and then you'd have the magic items and the artifacts, which is my personal favorite. Even though you're still in your character's still in the low level, if you get a magic item that is like of higher level, and you can probably still do character-wise in the next two levels, but because of this magic item, you already can do that ability. If you get like a ring of invisibility at level 2, then that's awesome. You can have that invisibility ability with your character even though you don't have that spell yet. Or if you're a fighter, you don't need to become a spellcaster or magic user just for you to use that invisibility ability.
Hmm.
Then probably someone would throw in like this treasure, like with the twist, where you get an item, like you get this treasure chest of some sort that you don't know what it does, and then once you put it in your bag of holding or your haversack, and then it becomes like a trap or some sort, like it becomes a mimic and starts to bite and attack you.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Or something like a ring that you don't know how to use, and when you kind of like rub it 3 times, it kind of like explodes and give you like 1d6 points of damage or something.
Yeah,
What do you think of that?
I like things. I like when the DM gets creative, whether it's to the benefit of the group or an individual, or it's a hazard of some kind. Like I've always thought an awesome kind of trick magic item to give someone is this ring. It appears to be like a +3, a protection type of ring on the surface of it, and it's really just it pretends, the ring itself pretends to be that, but then once you put the ring on, it has to be removed by this one special type of spell that only this very limited caster group can use. But what it does is it makes you cuss and be ugly all the time, so you can never speak to anyone without offending them or without saying things that is going to get you in trouble. So you end up having to become a selective mute, because if you open your mouth, it's going to get you in trouble every time or get the group in trouble.
That'd be
And then you
horrible
end
to
up
end up with that thing.
I know you end up having to. You can't leave town because you have to leave town. You have to talk to the gate guards. There's no way to get by them. If they ask you a question, you're going to offend them. Maybe end up in jail or cause a big fight. I saw a similar type of magic item once. I always thought that would be just a funny thing as a side quest to get them when the group started acting a little off and not digging the game, kind of get them off and refocused a little bit. I like those types of things. Just like when you had the thieves break in and steal a lot of our stuff, that really charged up Durin. I like when you do that, and then we had the result on the end of it of being able to get to that tower and continue the adventure.
Yeah, that was an awesome session, by the way, where Nizumi had to fight for opening the door and getting like a natural 20 on her third attempt.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That
Very
made
good.
my day.
Yeah, that was epic.
Yeah, it kind of all came together right there.
Yeah, it was quite
It was the first
frustrating, I
thing I
think,
got
for
to
the group. Like,
see.
yeah, the DC to open the door, I think, was quite high. It's
28.
way up there.
It was 28.
Yeah.
And I
So
had a +8 on my strength, and I needed to get a nat 20 to get it open, and I did it.
It was awesome. That was really
It was
cool.
it was even better once we realized what was on the other side of that door.
Yeah.
Goodness. I've
an
been
empty
fortunate to
room
continue with all that.
with a single wardrobe with it. Nothing, no visible treasure whatsoever. Or
I still
immediate
got my
No.
gold.
treasure.
My gold's still hiding in there. I have a faith in it. I haven't given up yet.
You wouldn't know. It got stolen, remember?
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Never take a dwarf's gold.
um,
Don't you know that?
yeah, yeah. But about the reward things earlier, I was thinking about it a bit more, and a lot of it was like material type things. For a kind of reward, it'd be cool if the characters were like given some kind of like a morale boosting event or something like that. Just to kind of treat our characters a little bit. It wouldn't really have like a much of an item or anything to walk away with, but to be like, oh, I feel a lot better now, type of thing.
Like a side quest, sandbox type venture. Is
Yeah,
that what
I
you're saying?
guess. I don't know.
Can you give an example of that side quest that
Um,
you'd like to pertain to?
I don't know if it's like a side quest type thing, but more of a like a bit of a small detour thing, like a hey, there's a puppet show in town. Maybe the party should go see it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like there's probably this town festival where you can
Hmm.
like
I think
goof
it'd be
off
kind
or
of yeah. Just go enjoy themselves. Spend some gold on things that's not just gonna kill people with.
well remember when that session we had with the Goblin Witch where you entered
Yeah.
her shop. Well,
Yeah,
my intention there was to kind of give like a side treat for everyone with the fortune telling,
yeah.
and it
And
just
only
so
one
happened that
person did the fortune telling.
yeah, so that's kind of like a treat. However, it was only Nizumi's character who bit that hook.
And she only did that because didn't want to make the party suspicious because she was actually just in there talking to the goblin. Because they all seem to be a bit goblins.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah, and I
Durin.
think she was evil. Yeah, yeah. Go
Yeah, I
ahead, Ron.
thought Durin wouldn't deal with the goblins. So
Hmm. That's why she ended up like getting her fortune told or whatever, so she could talk to the goblin in private. So if the goblin happens to be like holding any kind of information, because like, oh look, there's a dwarf, frick dwarves, kind of thing. No,
yeah,
don't frick dwarves. Dwarves are great. Not that kind of whatever. I'm just gonna drink my pop.
yeah,
Yeah,
dwarfs are. Go ahead.
Okay, no, choking
yeah.
on pop.
When I was creating that part of the adventure, I was thinking of like having like an actual deck of cards. I mean, at least for my live game group, or probably having someone roll something out of the deck of many things. I mean, if you're familiar with that artifact.
Yeah, that's
However, it
powerful.
might yeah, it might produce. I just thought it might produce a lot of consequences, and I don't want to give that consequence early on in the game, so I just had it. I did just customize it, like make chart when if you roll something and this what happens.
There's I dealt with those cards once before, I think it was, and a whole different campaign. This was like last year when I was first starting. I didn't know what I was doing. But one of our party members ended up getting this card. I don't remember which one it was, but it ended up sending them off into like this pocket dimension, and they like disappeared, and we didn't know where they went. And all we had to go by was this little card that we found on the ground where they were.
Hmm.
And my character ended up making the party try and find a caster to find out what happened to get them back. The rest of the party did not care that one of our members just gone. They had no
That's
cares about it. And I was
Pretty
like,
So the
common.
party was split.
they? Hmm?
The party was split in that sense.
Yeah, there was 4 people, and they were down to 3 all of a sudden, because they looked at this car and they disappeared. My character was the only one concerned about it. We ended up getting them back, like 2 sessions later, because I made my character was determined to figure out what happened and get them back. Ugh,
Yeah,
turned
that
out
was
you had to
diff.
stand in. Yeah, those cards. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And they couldn't play their character anymore. They were just gone. Because
Card
you're
of
in a
death.
pocket dimension and can't do anything. Did experience one of those. And then end up having to fight like 3 wraiths because of a different card. It was just horrible things over and over and over again. Oh my goodness. I refused to take my turn to draw. I was like, no, skip me. I don't care if I get 100 billion gold. It's not worth dying for. I like my character. I want to keep him. Oh, jeez. It was an
And,
experience.
and what do you guys think about out of game rewards? I mean, we have the end game, the treasure, the experience points, and all these side quests and whatnot. But what do you say about like out of game rewards? Like if, for example, I'm gonna paint the scene of having the bartender serving a round of drinks like after an encounter, and then someone would actually go out and serve you actual beer or actual drinks physically, like in the table. I mean, I know it's a limitation for internet-based games and Roll20, but I mean, what do you think of that? Is that something that you appreciate as a player, like as far as live games is concerned?
Oh, that would be cool. And in tabletop, yeah, I've done some of that in the past myself, both received and done. I mean, I ran a Santa Claus D&D session once. Where they had to protect Santa Claus from this evil frost character that wanted to attack him, and he
The
was
Grinch.
manipulating the reindeer to help him, and so I had little Christmas presents that I'd run with those guys for about a year. I had little Christmas presents, and they each kind of solved their own little riddle. I would hand out those little Christmas presents. But yeah, I always like that. That just shows both for the player to the DM, and DM to the player that you appreciate gameplay both ways. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, me and Zoom were just talking about this Christmas-based game that she played a while back.
Except we weren't
Was
protecting
it an
Santa
evil-based
Claus.
campaign? Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't
Oh,
protecting Santa Claus.
oh, poor Santa Claus.
Turns out Santa was a
Yes.
druid. And
Oh
my character
wow.
actually
Oh,
was on the dice list. Not anymore. Whoops. Yeah.
I had to run
yeah,
this
the Santa Claus
game
of my,
for. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, run.
the Santa Claus of mine was a cleric that had fallen off his way, and his punishment for going off his way was that his god gave him one last chance. So he made him have to service all the children of the world, and so that's the reason he did what he did. So it wasn't so much, oh, I'm a jolly guy. I'm trying to keep my god off my butt. So that was the reason the Santa Claus in the campaign. And everybody was kind of, oh man, he's just doing it because he has to do it. Oh. And the elves were really slaves. He had captured this group of elves and enslaved them to do the work because he didn't want to have to do all the work himself to try to serve all the kids in the world.
That's amazing.
I mean, he wasn't really
Wow.
as nice a Santa as everyone found out in the end, but it's pretty funny.
It turns out giving cold to naughty children wasn't part of the job. He just ended up doing that anyways because he's not a good person.
Cadillac's trying to figure out how to get on. Crash is.
Oh yeah. So he's trying
No.
to come in, right? Yeah.
He says, "Sorry, I'm late, but I'm not going to be able to make tonight's discussion."
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all right.
Okay. Can I take a stab at that festival one, Richie?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Nazumi was kind of describing, like this festival comes to town, and
Yeah.
as a reward, I've always thought of something like that, where they take something that's really important to the group, like a bag of holding. You know how they stole Calvin's bag of holding?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's correct.
Yeah, they steal a bag of holding and they leave these clues that's tied to a carnival in town. So if you have 5 characters, you would have 5 different events. Throwing balls at milk cans, or
Right, right.
hitting a mallet on a thing to make the bell. And so you had these 5 events, and you had to each take an event. Each player had to take an event. It was based upon their ability or best opportunity to win that event. And if you won the event, you got a token, and then you go and deposit these tokens, and you get the bag of holding back. So it's be kind of a cool little side quest.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great idea, Ron. It's like something is lost, and then you try to regain it back by doing these fun stuff on the side.
Yeah, and then has a lot of rolling involved, right? So guys love to roll dice. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to run this game before where I had some out of game props. So I used these potion bottles. So it was a riddle, which is kind of like similar to if you're familiar with the Harry Potter riddle. So
yeah.
um, I had to prepare like several vials with different colored chemicals inside, and
Oh
then
yeah.
the players had to like rearrange them or mix them together, and of course they had to roll dice to get some clues, but the actual experience of actually seeing the potion live, I mean, really prepared it in front of them and actually manipulating them, like holding them, like moving them around. I think it was, I mean, the players had really fun time with that.
That
That
sounds
that that would be cool.
amazing.
I like the battle chess scene in either the first or second Harry Potter, where they're playing live battle chess, and the
Yeah.
stone
Oh yeah, wizard's
and they have to
chess
fight. They have
game.
to fight their way through the battle chest, and they
That was the
can't get
first
to the
one.
primary monster mob without winning battle chess. I thought that would be awesome to see in D&D. I've never seen it, but that would
Mm.
be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. We have to be like a live tabletop though. Otherwise, it's gonna be a
Probably.
different experience. Like probably using actual chess pieces as tokens and move into the map sort of thing.
I suppose that would be easier than I was just thinking, because there's like place where you can play chess online, so we'd have that off to the side and try and get in the same game. And do the tokens are probably easier. uh,
Wow. That would be fun though. You could make everybody be on the chessboard. This person,
mhm.
the fighter is the knight, the cleric is the castle or the priest, and
Yeah, the
the
bishop. That'd be a good one.
yeah, the bishop. The druid is the castle or something. Yeah, it'd be fun.
Oh
Remember
yeah,
this
yeah.
this artifact from one of the Harry Potter movies where Harry acquired this map which enables him to
Mm,
see like all the people within the vicinity, like invisible
the
or not.
Marauders map.
That yeah, that would be a cool thing to have in game. Like have the actual map and probably like have the DM draw where these actual players are at the moment, and then kind of like erase them, kind of like an in-game thing, physical thing that one can see. Of course, the map has to be really artistically drawn. Of course, I mean for someone to appreciate the visual experience about it.
I solemnly swear that I'm up
Do
to
they sell those
no
maps?
Online?
I saw it when I went to Orlando to the Harry Potter attraction with the Universal Studios, and they had the big gift store there, and they had them there, the full size one, and it has on the back of it, it has like what the map actually did. So the map could track one person or track a group of people, or it could show everybody in the school at one time, which was chaos on the map, by the way, because you couldn't
Hmm.
tell anybody from anybody because the names would be stepped on by other people's feet. Um, or you could track like a known inanimate object. So like if there was a chalice of ever drinking that was supposed to be in Dumbledore's um, suite, but it was actually in Harry's, you would see it show up in Harry's, an inanimate object.
Nice.
So you see, oh, someone moved it. What is that?
Yeah.
like
It's like
Potter's at it
it was
again.
just it was just like Easter Sunday last weekend, right? So I was thinking like have something like a computerized map where you have to locate the Easter egg, which is kind of like moving every now and then. So you have to locate the object in an actual room or something.
Ooh, a whole adventure built around the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, something
That
like
would be
that.
awesome. You had to complete an Easter egg hunt. It's part of the activity.
And you get rewarded by
Some of the
candy.
eggs are traps. Some of the eggs are traps.
You get egg bombs. You get to throw at people.
Food fight.
Oh man, funny.
Banjo and Kazooie eggs.
And then it
That'd
turns out
be
to be that the Easter bunny turns out to be kind of like Winnie the Pooh or something that's obsessed with honey, couldn't get out of the
Yeah,
tree because of his big belly or something.
pretty funny. Yeah, I guess that's what I like about D&D is that no matter what version you play, it really depends. The rules are to me are secondary. It really comes up with the imagination of the DM and the imagination of the players to work with the DM. That camaraderie between the two that really make D&D what it is.
mm,
Right. So even if it's like not a book specified artifact, like probably let's say you get like a bag of holding, but there's like an interdimensional trap found within the bag of holding that can probably only take in a few select items in its holding. Then is that something that you would like to have?
Well,
Let's
as
say
long
the
as we,
bag of holding can yeah, let's say the bag of holding can only like store money, but any weapons that you put inside gets vanished or disappears into thin air.
well, as long as it has a purpose. So, for example, I wouldn't mind it if there was like, it's a dimension to the ethereal realm where there's a demigod there
Hmm.
that he wants you to give him praise or give him adoration by giving him certain things, and if you don't, he just takes your stuff. And so you're going to lose a couple things in there until you figure out, okay, what he wants he wants amethyst gems, and so I'm always going to be looking for amethyst gems, and in the process of always looking for amethyst gems, eventually it's going to lead me to the next part of the story or the next side quest or the next thing I want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Reminds me
yeah.
of Charon's Claw.
Yeah, I've had a lot of DMs that just, okay, you get this, but here's the limitation, and then it looks like, well, why did you put a limitation on it? I mean, what was the purpose? Just because you wanted
Right.
to, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. It has to be
It's like
tied in with the story or how.
And then I don't think
adventure
people,
rolling.
yeah, I don't think people mind the limitation at that point. It has a purpose to it. If I just keep the
You
guy fed
sure?
amethyst, then I'm okay. I won't lose anything else in the bag of holding.
Yeah, there has to be a reason behind the psyche or the purpose of the item.
Yeah, I played this one time. This campaign with the DM did this thing called peace bonding. I don't know if you ever heard of that before.
Mm-mm.
So he was it was his way of trying to keep. We had a couple guys that just um, always wanted to kill stuff. I mean, just you know, they walked in the bar for the purpose of getting a fight so they could fight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I really don't like those kind of players, but I get it. And he was a half orc that did it. Was one of the guys was a half orc and was a barbarian, so it was just like they said we're playing a character, so we get to go in and beat people up in bars because that's what we get to do. So he created this rule of peace bonding. The king made if you're in any of my cities or towns, you have to be peace bond, and that's where they secured the weapons with like a rope, like a magical enchantment, so you couldn't pull the weapon out, or you could pull the weapon out, but it would kind of like scream that, oh, you pulled the weapon out, you're breaking the law, kind of thing. And
Hmm.
but it rather than talking to the players and getting them to say, play your character, he created this asinine rule that you think the barbarian and the half orc that they wanted to break the law, so he just played into what you know what I'm saying. And if
So if you were like creeping in a dungeon and your weapon is sheathed and you come across a zombie and then it's gonna once you pull the weapon out it's gonna announce noisily to the entire group or to the entire area that you're pulling the weapon out. It's like
yeah, it's
here I
like
am, I'm gonna attack you.
a house alarm, and so
Yeah.
they had like this cemetery that had gotten overgrown over time, and they moved the cemeteries to catacombs, and so they said, you can really help us out. You can clear that out, and there was all this undead in there, and so every time you had to pull your weapon out, it would scream out like a house alarm. You pulled your weapon, wee, wee. It was
It's like
It
just
hitting a
takes away
car alarm
the
at Left 4
sneak
Dead.
attack advantage. Yeah, so if I was a thief, I need to have my weapon out like several feet before the actual perceived encounter is. Otherwise, I lose the sneak attack advantage.
exactly,
I think
yeah.
I think that would be kind of interesting with that is because of like if they think about it, it would kind of force the players to think out of the box of what would and wouldn't be considered a weapon.
Yeah, and if you were
If you'll
moving
have
into
to.
like if you have to pass a guarded checkpoint with the weapon out just to avoid having it alarm the people around it. So someone would have to do an illusion spell like him carrying just a simple walking stick or something. Then it looking like a normal sword
Mm-hmm.
just for the group to pass the checkpoint.
Oh, it'd be
What
kind of neat. That's sorry.
no.
I was just gonna say it'd be kind of neat if like that was a situation they had to sneak across the place, whatever. That one of the players would actually surrender one of their daggers and kind of like rig it up into a tree somewhere to where it's still in its sheath. And if they're like some distance away, they like pull this string that's tied to the dagger so it exit the sheath, and that thing will go off. We'd be like, "There's someone over there. They have their weapon drawn. We have to get them." Guards run over. It's clear. Go, 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 go.
Kind of
Nazumi,
like an early warning device.
that is exactly what that half orc and barbarian did. They befriend the caster in the group. They they ended up getting him into it, so he would go like on the opposite side of where they wanted to mess around, and would unsheath his staff or pull the thing off his staff so he could get it off his body. The sound would alarm, So all the guards and everybody would run over to that part of the town trying to find it, and then he would just go invisible, right? And they would go in the bar and do the same thing they always did. They were doing that bait and switch the whole time of that. Of course, the DM was just furious about it. But
Distraction tactics.
That was great.
So what about villains? What do you think is the most compelling or the most memorable boss or villain that you played in your campaigns, in your previous campaigns?
And the campaigns I've been, it hasn't really progressed enough to the point where we actually encountered the villain. Just a couple of stooges here and there, maybe. Sorry. Excuse me.
Underbosses.
But there's in a more roleplay, less stats type campaign we've been in, there's been a couple of villains that have been based off of other games and stuff like that. One of them happened to be a Five Nights at Freddy's type thing, to where the main villain was like this marionette type of guy who has like been putting these tortured souls into these mutilated half animal, half human machine type bodies, and the villain himself actually had this mask stitched onto his face, and somehow he had this ability to where he can almost appear anywhere just to torment your character and then vanish when your character was distracted, and it was pretty scary. Yeah.
Kind of like a floating Doctor Doom, I guess, character.
The mask was stitched onto his face, and these characters that was based off of Five Nights at Freddy's, so there'd be like a mutilated fox character, and actually ended up getting befriended one of our people, and she could talk to animals and was talking to the fox, and came to find out he wasn't really a fox. It was a human soul that was tortured and bound into this thing. Same with all the others. And it was... I think that's one of the most memorable ones that I can think of that I've actually got to meet. Yeah. That's a thing. I haven't really met any of the villains.
Really nice.
Yeah, it was scary.
So this was a D&D game? This was a D&D game or a different campaign?
It was D&D, but it was more of a less one that doesn't really do much with stacks. It was just more of an open roleplay thing. And if your character wanted to try a thing, the DM would ask you to roll and determining if it was like a high enough roll or low enough roll, you'd be able to do a thing. My character spent a lot of time face down in the snow because he couldn't make it from one building to another without tripping. Oh, and he accidentally stabbed his love interest through the lung, but he survived. Okay. But yeah.
For me, the most memorable villains are your like archetypal, stereotypical villains, like kind of like how Joker is to Batman, Lex Luthor is to Superman. The ugly, evil-looking villain who's always giving the players a hard time. I think that's like well, I think that that's stereotypical, but that aspect has evolved over through time, where ugly villains are now getting more and more beautiful. Like, you wouldn't think outright that he's the villain. It's kind of like He's as unsuspecting, and you wouldn't think that he would be the main villain, but um, at the end
They've
of the
made him
day,
more.
he's the one calling the shots behind the scenes.
Yeah, they've made him a little more manipulative.
Right, right. Kind of
And really,
like
it's. Hmm,
yeah,
yeah.
like in the Godfather movies, you have Don Corleone. He doesn't like really mingle with the police or the street soldiers, but they know him. They would identify that he's the boss. But when one of his soldiers or his thieves get questioned or gets arrested by the police and gets questioned by the lawyers or by the court, they would deny that they spoke directly with Don Corleone because they don't have direct access. I mean, they just have an idea that he's the boss, but they're not quite sure if he's really the boss. Know what I'm saying?
Hmm. It was more of the idea rather than direct action. Ugh.
Yeah, or someone who would be like um, calling the shots from the sidelines. You wouldn't think that this person is the main villain, but he's kind of like indirectly influencing the character's actions or the story to go in this direction to serve his or her selfish purposes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm, yeah, I just had a thought that I don't know. I think it's a good comparison. Like, I'm just going to use sports for example. Um, when versing the other team, you're like, oh, I got to go. It's against these people. Got to defeat them. But it never really occurs to them to that it's not the team that they're fighting. It's the coach,
Right, right.
because it's the coach calling the shots. But they're so focused on beating the team they don't think about the main source, the one
Yeah.
who's calling the shots. Yeah.
The players don't know that the coach bet on the other team to win,
Yeah.
story wise.
Yeah.
What do you think
I
about
kind
that,
of
Ron?
like the. Yeah, here we go.
Well, I mean, you can't really talk about super villains without talking about dragons. And
Dragon!
and one of
Yeah.
my, I played in one. I fought many dragons, but there was one I've played in, and there's one that in a world that I DM'd, a campaign that I DM'd, I had the main boss as a dragon. And which one do you want to hear? The one I played in, or the one that I DM'd?
Let's go first with the one you DM'd.
The one I DM'd, there was is this specific kingdom, and they were in an active war against this other kingdom that was trying to invade them from the west. And I had the party meet up, and they were hired as kind of thugs to go and do some work in the south because the farmers and the landowners in the south were complaining that these swamp creatures that were scaly and slimy were coming out of the swamp and invading the farmlands and digging up their croplands and causing all kind of mischief. And so I sent them down there to investigate. When they got down there, they found exactly what was being said was true. That these guys, they finally eventually that was lizard men and troglodytes they were messing up all the farmland, and it's like they were digging holes all over the place and things. And it was kind of sporadic. It didn't make any sense. On one farmland, they would skip an entire field, and the next field it was all dug up, or they would just dig one part of the corner of the field up. And so after a while of investigating and talking to the farmers and following clues, They went into the swamp, and a variety of different things happened to them. They're attacked by giant crocodiles, and they would kept coming out, investigating more, and I give them clues to keep furring further into the swamp, further into the swamp. Eventually, meet these centaurs, who were fairly unfriendly, but turned out to be allies in the end. Um, and the centaurs reveal that there's this guy that rides a black horse, a human, and he has a big black brimmed hat, and and he seems to be the guy in charge. And I made him look like Clint Eastwood. And right, you got the
The good,
picture,
the bad,
right?
and the ugly. Yeah.
Yeah, good, bad, and the ugly. Clint Eastwood, all in black, big black rider's cloak and the big brim, black hat, and all of it. And so they eventually are tracking the troglodytes and the lizardmen. They find out that they come out at night only, and they're actively searching for stuff. And then they find stuff, they dig it up, and then they ferry it back, and they track them back to this ancient pyramid right in the middle of the swamp. And then they eventually find out from the centaurs that there's an ancient civilization that used to be where the swamp is, and something happened to it, and it was essentially destroyed, and the swamp came in immediately afterwards and kind of filled in that space. There are these kind of remnant remains of an ancient civilization in there, which extends out beyond the swamp out to the farmland, and so they're finding artifacts of some kind, and eventually I let them get a hold of one of the artifacts, and it's just this oddly shaped piece of red granite, but it's been carved as if by a master dwarf did it, and it looks like a piece of a puzzle. And eventually they figure out they get enough of these pieces by killing these parties of lizardmen and troglodytes that are going out. They eventually get enough of those that they find out that they fit together, and they actually start forming something. And so they they get closer to this pyramid, and they discover that it's an active working site. That people are living there, and the troglodytes are actually living in the pyramid. And they see the black rider come down the ramp on the outside of the pyramid and look out, and he's marching orders to people, and you see bands of lizardmen and troglodyte taking off looking for new stuff. And so they eventually start on the lower level, work their way up, and they finally get to the top of it, and there's this Clint Eastwood character, and they engage him, and they beat him down, and when he gets down below half hit points, he reveals who he is. He's this full-grown adult black dragon that the reason the world was destroyed is they invented this device that captured the power of this particular lesser god, and the lesser god has been weakened ever since because it essentially released its power and destroyed that civilization when it did that because it was trying to steal its power from him. And so he was trying to recapture that again because he figured out the ruins inside that ancient temple inside that swamp. So he's trying to recapture that. He could take the power for himself and become even almighty black dragon. And then you end up having to fight this black dragon, and so that was it. They when I ran that at Kevin, they loved that. They liked that twist of this Clint Eastwood character turning into that black dragon. They never saw it coming.
That is incredible.
That's incredible, Ron. So how did these players defeat the Black Dragon? Did they fight? I mean, what was the landscape of the battlefield, the actual combat encounter? Was it done while the dragon was flying, or was it grounded in indoors?
You can imagine adult black dragon, even at half hit points, he immediately did a full heal on himself, right? And these characters
Right.
are around ninth level, so they weren't low. So they started off at third and moved all the way up to ninth. That whole process of getting to where they were up there, and there were six in the party. There was an earthen ramp that was built on the outside that didn't exist previously by Clint Eastwood and his goons. So when they found an item, they didn't have to go inside the whole inside of the pyramid because the pyramid was 120 feet tall, and so it took him forever to go inside. So he built this earthen ramp uh, to go up, and the defenses were on the ramp, it was impossible just to mad rush the ramp they would get beat up so bad by the time they got to the top, they wouldn't be able to do anything. So the only way of really getting up there was going inside and going through all of the rooms and all those passages, and all that business. When they got up there, they actually got wiped. Clint Eastwood did a job on them. He was a little bit more powerful as a human than I anticipated, and there were some bad rolls. You know how it goes in D&D, and so they got beat up pretty bad. So I had to make some last minute minor adjustments to get their strength up, and so I had Clint Eastwood kind of ride away because on the top of the pyramid, it's truncated up there. It's flat at the 120-foot mark. It's about 2 football fields, and it has structures on it on the top of it, columns, and then that base thing in the middle. So he ran off to the side and gave them an opportunity to kind of refocus themselves, do some heal spells, different things to get healed up full strength. And then after they did all of that, and with my coaxing, the black dragon came and sat on top of right in the middle on top of that kind of pedestal thing they were building, and I made it look like the Black Dragon thought they were coming to try to get the power themselves from him. So he was telling them, "There's no way that I'm going to let you take my power. I've invested too much time in dealing with all these idiots around me. There's no way I'm going to let you do this." So, and then he blasts them with his breath attack, and he flies off. Right? Well, the breath attack did more damage than I thought it was going to do against them, so I had to let them heal again. Then I had to make some chest, and they started looking at buildings, and they found some chests with some additional healing options on them. Because I hate wiping, I just hate wiping out characters. It's a big trying to re-roll, and you know what I mean. I really wanted to see it to an end because I've been with these guys for about 5 or 6 levels. So he ended up coming down, and then they had a fierce battle, and 2 of them did die. The cleric died, and we had a thief that was trying to, be Bilbo Baggins, and thought that he was going to, circle around undetected and come up behind the black dragon, and he hit him. He did, but he didn't think after he hit the dragon what would happen, and so he had a full adult black dragon on top of the rogue, and he's going, I don't want to, you just hit him with 38 points. What do you think he's going to do? So he smashed him. He killed him with a claw bite, and yeah, just it was miserable. That guy felt so bad. I felt so bad for him. But what can I do? That's the kind of the pain of being a thief. If you're going to backstab, you better make it count. You only get one shot at it, right?
Right.
It's not like you hit him and all of a sudden I'm gone. And I said, well, why didn't you have a visible spell or something back up in case he turned on you? So he turned and killed the thief. The cleric was trying to last minute save the fighter, and he got whacked. But they ended up beating him on the ground. So what I did, I had him go up in the air, and they had an elf ranger, and the elf ranger had this specialized skill with the bow that kind of enchant when she would pull the arrow, she'd enchant the arrow as she pulled it, and she had 3 different things she could do with it, and there was this one called knockout kind of ability, and when she did a knockout, it had a % chance of automatically killing the enemy if they were below one quarter of their hit points. Had a 10% chance of automatic kill, and so she shot the arrow, and the dragon's flying up and up and up, and she calls knockout, and it turns green and shoots upstairs and hits him, and she rolls a 9% and kills him on the spot. He tumbles around, flies and flies. You hear him gasp in the air, a big loud gas. He falls down and crumples right in the middle of the pyramid. Of course, I gave him a giant treasure and accolades, and they cut off the horns and the wingtips and the stuff, and collected scales to make armor, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So the players had to fight like a dragon which has access to an airspace, which is, in my opinion, is a real deadly dragon.
Oh yeah, that's when they're at their fullest power. Yep, out in the open. Yeah. Fight them in a cave if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to kind of think about that, and the thing was, I had them so enveloped on. I developed that that Clint Eastwood character, where I would, within the last 2 adventures leading up to that final battle, I'd play the, you know, song
Yeah.
every time they would sing, just to kind of, yeah, just to set the scene, just to set the scene for them, so they would get sucked into it. So by the time they
Yeah.
went and fought him, they think they had him. They had no clue, zero, that it was a black dragon. It didn't even cross their mind. So when it
Mm-hmm.
happened, it was just like a complete, you know how it is. Like, oh my
Right.
God, you're kidding me. What are you talking about? Did you make this up right now? No, it's been there from day one.
Yeah.
So, hide in plain
Oh,
sight.
no
You know
one
what I
was
mean?
able to detect the enchantment or any
They didn't
spell
try.
that was cast to the dragon. They didn't
I,
attempt.
they didn't even think that that was a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about how you sell it. I just sold it so much, and the way that the people, no, when they interrogate the troglodytes, the centaurs, talk to the centaurs, and interrogate the lizardmen, it was always about that black rider. It was just, when they would see a glimpse of him. They would never see him fully. They'd see him like standing on the edge of the top of the ramp at the top of the pyramid, barking out orders, or they would see him riding up the ramp. It was they would just always see him in that form, and there was nothing I ever gave that would give them any indication that it was something different. And so, of course, they could have, but they never did. And so it was shocking when that was the case, which is kind of what you wanted, you know.
Right. Right.
I was prepared that they found out, or there was some way of them knowing, or they had an enchantment or something to figure out. They had that ability, they just never used it. I was, going to have some kind of trigger to make him turn into a black dragon quicker, but it worked out even better that because they were shocked. They just thought, we got Clint, we got him to rights, and they were calling him Clint. Eastwood's going down.
Yeah, you definitely need to have a strategy, like a group strategy, as opposed to like being heroic when battling an adult dragon. I would say.
Mm.
Um, but didn't the usually sometimes that the DM offers like a special weapon or spell that would help the group defeat the dragon, the dragon boss. Like in Dragonlance, you have the Dragon Lances,
Yeah.
or these orbs where you can like manipulate the dragons to do your bidding. So I was just curious, like, were you able to chance upon incorporating any of these weapons or artifacts into your adventure, Ron?
You kind of broke out there just for a sec. Can you say it again?
Yeah, you know these special weapons to defeat dragons, or an artifact that can probably control or manipulate the dragon to do your own bidding or to do the party's bidding. Were you able to incorporate that into any of your adventures before?
I never, anytime I go up, if I'm going to put what I consider a major mob, a major monster in the adventure, I really try to do it, at least from my standpoint, I try to do it for success. Because, boy, you'll ruin yourself as a DM, um, if your goal is just to wipe people all the time. People just, in my experience, if it happens, it happens in the natural course of things. But if you're just wiping parties off the face of the map and going, oh well, that was a great adventure we just spent 136 hours working on, so let's go to the next one. People just kind of get really, it's all about the glory of the kill and the treasure you gain in the end. That's really what attracts people to it, right?
Of course,
But
yeah, it's for the
yeah,
team. Yeah.
sure.
Uh,
So I always implant things, and if they don't go the way I want them, I redirect that item somewhere else. So if they're going up against frost giants, and that's the ultimate enemy, there's a frost giant king that they have to defeat. Or you better bet I'm going to have multiple options of, flaming emerald swords, or wands of firebolts or wands of fireball
Right.
or be able to summon fire elementals. I'll have all of those capabilities provided to them, and they have to work for it. I just don't like, oh look, there's a little thing over there, and open up. Oh, you have a staff of power waiting for you to do what
Right.
you've been.
Right.
Yeah. So it's more about getting them to work, and they go, oh wow, we really needed that. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it. We got what we needed, you know. Or they hear a rumor, and it's like I remember one. I ran a Giants thing where they had to kind of go between hill giants and frost giants and fire giants, storm giants, and the frost giant king was a really tough dude, and the cook in the frost giant kitchen was using a wand of fire bolts as a ladle to stir the stew pot. She had no clue what it was, but you had a frost giant cooking there, and all these other little oh come on, Ron, creatures that resided with them that you had to get through to get this stir stick. It was really this wand of fireballs you needed to be able to take on that king. And so it was like it was like Jack and the Beanstalk kind of thing, right? Where they were having to
Right.
sneak
Right.
around pots and things and make a bunch of checks to be successful. And there
Yeah.
was a giant snow leopard that was like the pet cat in the house, and it was like a 6 foot tall giant snow leopard as the pet cat, and it was sniffing around all the time trying to find you. And yeah, it was a real hoot just for this stir stick that the cook was using.
Yeah.
So as
For
long as
me, it really helps the party if the DM provides opportunities and windows of events or weapons or artifacts that can probably help the players defeat the final boss rather than just relying on the players' capabilities of playing as a group or doing a good teamwork. But without these windows of opportunity, then it would be a difficult task for the party to defeat the final boss, in my opinion.
yeah, and you've done very well on this, Richie. One thing I prize you about is that you don't reward bad play. And I never appreciate it as a player. I never did it as a DM myself. And if you give opportunity, but they're just being stupid about it and not, you know, you leave this clue and they should react one way and they completely
Right.
get,
Yeah.
you know, dodo headed about something else that has nothing to do at all related to what you're trying to do. And anybody with common sense would know that that's the way you need to go, and they fight it. That yeah, I don't reward those things. Well, you get what you get on that point. Then I mean, I'm trying to help you. You don't want need my help. Then you're going to suffer the consequences, I guess, when you go up against whatever that mob is. So I mean,
Right.
they
Right.
should. Yeah, and I kind of liken that to the way that Calvin played when all of our stuff was taken. I know we talked about that before, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
Like you
mean,
rushed into
you
the
should get.
tavern rather. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get rewarded for those types of things, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
lose
mean,
more stuff, I guess.
yeah, you get to lose more stuff because you lose more time rather than taking um, the opportunity to go ahead and investigate where the path leads you. I think I was listening to this other podcast or this other discussion on Nerdarchy the other day, where you have to. Um, I'm not sure if this was on Nerdarchy, but the fastest way to get the group or the players invested where you want them to go is have them lose stuff or steal something from the players. You want them to visit the other continent of your world, then have someone steal their stuff and teleport to that part. It's a good way for the players to get invested on moving to other part of the world or where you would like them to go, like kind of like railroad them to the optimal place in the adventure.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it was quite like weird for me in that time where someone would loses their stuff and would like to have breakfast or go into the tavern to have a drink. It was quite weird. Like I lose all of my money and my weapons, and okay, I'm gonna eat first.
Well, if you
I
don't have
still
any
want to
weapons, you can't fight bare-fisted, empty-stomached, I guess. But a little more concern? Because holy crap, that was a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
money and
true.
good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if they stole, 50 gold pieces or something, I see reacting that way. Half of your loot, holy moly, man. Okay, DM, okay, note to self, DM is trying to send me a message, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
DM wants me to do something. So let me think about if that happened to me in real life, what I would do. How would I investigate it? What would be my next action? And yeah, I thought it
And yeah,
was
and if his character was really hungry and he would like to eat, then I think Velamar had some rations with him. He was in he casted rope trick the other day, so his possessions were quite intact. So he can always like ask food from the next party member as long as you investigate like what really happened um, that early morning, why they lost the stuff.
Yeah, even when like I got pushed and Duran got pushed off the narrow bridge between the towers.
Right, right.
The whole thing about there's this guy that just knocked your cleric off 30 feet on the ground, and he is actively attacking you. So you think the best course of action is get a rope down and let me help you climb up. I just thought that whole thing was, what is, I'm in like Neverland or something over here. I mean,
Right, right.
any normal person
That
would run
was
back up the tower, right? Not try to climb back up the rope.
Exactly.
Let me hold you. Let me steady you. Where one person away from me, the guy's trying to kill me.
And that's a total
Yeah,
waste of time anyway. I mean,
yeah. It
get,
was.
getting getting two people invested in having pulling someone up while the others have to fight off like several other enemies. I mean
Yeah,
that to
it
me
was.
was pointless.
And you got
I
flying
mean to
demons
me
in one room, and this guy's out here, and yeah, it was really odd. It was.
to me
when
I would rather question like where did this guy come from? Why is he appearing out of thin air all of a sudden? You know, maybe there does he look like a spellcaster? Is someone like summoning him out of thin air? Who's the one doing summoning? Probably there's more than one enemy that I should be worried of. You know.
Well, for
when he
me,
got knocked down,
go ahead.
um, when he got knocked down to the ground, there were two things concerning me. One, we need to get him up here now. Because if this guy had appeared suddenly behind us, who knows if there's more down there. And I didn't want our cleric to be down there by himself.
Okay.
And another was to get my character through that door so we can get our people off that narrow ledge so more won't get knocked down and possibly ambushed.
Yeah, you did good, Nazumi. I thought the way you played that scene was
Yeah,
fine.
I agree.
It
I
was really
agree.
the other two
Uh,
guys that were. I just couldn't figure them out, man. Trying to, butt slide across grease things and trying to, no, I can pull you up. I'm going to get you to the 30-foot mark and drop you again for another 25 points of damage. Just, yeah, and my whole fear was, oh my God, Nazumi's going to go in there by herself, and then the red thing with the witch in it. I'm going, oh man, this is not going to play out well. We're all going to get
was
wiped
gonna
right here, and
explode.
I'll be the only one alive on the ground.
Yeah.
Plus the four different pathways leading out of the room.
Yeah.
And
And then the
it's like
flying
completely dark,
demon
the only
guns.
light. Ugh.
And
Yeah.
I didn't want the guy that pushed me off to die because I figured he might be like the captain or something. And I wanted to interrogate him. Where the crap is my 2,500 gold pieces? I don't
Right.
care.
Right.
Keep his platinum pieces. I don't care about that. But where's my gold? That's what the dwarf would have done, I thought. But they killed him before I could get back up to the top to talk to him. So,
Yeah.
Right.
but oh well. It is what it is. So I'm
It is what
worried
it is.
about the holes. I'm worried about the holes in the ground.
Where those other corridor things seem to be leading from in that other tower.
Yeah, it really has me concerned.
Yeah, and Nizumi mentioned something that he would like, or she would like to take hold of, the bag of holding that Calvin's character has, as well as the flaming longsword. So I told her
That,
that,
In his
yeah,
arm.
you have to get down there quickly before the mob loots his dead corpse.
Yeah.
You
His
might
foot
have
would
to
still be
take an
twitching and
attack.
he's getting robbed.
Yeah, you might have to take that attack of opportunity from whatever you're currently fighting, if you really want to get those items, or probably jump off the ledge
Mm.
and
well,
take a possible
I
hits.
can, couldn't I could go back down and get the bag and loot his corpse, and then just give everything to her.
Yeah, you can do that as well.
Because I'm on the stairs leading to the second floor. I'm not across the
Right, right.
bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're already on the second floor, leading
Oh yeah,
to
the
yeah,
third
leading to
floor
the
is
third
what
floor.
the stairs are going to the third floor. I'm sorry. Correct.
Right.
Mm.
But I think I could
Yeah,
be there in
and
like 3 rounds. I could be down there.
and I really like
Mm.
that you
But
guys are enjoying the adventure so far. I mean, it might not be the fastest adventure story wise because of some events that happened, but I mean, hopefully we'll be moving forward in the right direction starting Sunday.
Well, the
Yeah,
pace. Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
the pace will pick up. I think.
Right. And Ron, I'm also really excited about this new adventure you're cooking up. From the discussions on Skype last night, yeah, those were amazing.
Yeah, the you know, it's very important to me to say that it's your world, so I want to make sure that because in many ways I'm helping you. What's the word I'm thinking? I'm helping you develop that world as well. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's
I mean,
very
I
very
would need all
important
the
to me.
help. Yeah,
What the most important thing to me is not the actual campaign itself, but I'm kind of staying true to what you wanted that world to be. So that's why it's important that we kind of develop it together, all
yeah,
of
for
us,
sure.
the whole party,
Yeah,
so they can kind of okay, we kind of have an idea of how Gelfast is. Now this other town, this a little bit smaller town, which is heavily fortified for some reason, just a little bit down the river, we'll have that next part of this world develop. And there's a piece there, even though it's not the same characters, it is the same world and the same time
exactly.
frame, right?
Right, right.
So
So eventually, if you would like to interact with the NPCs at some point, they would be there for you to access. I mean, for the players to
exactly,
access any point in time.
you might decide someday to even merge both parties together for something. You never know. I mean, so
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of many
That is always a
options.
possibility.
So Nazumi, did you get to read kind of some of the discussion that we
the
had?
130 messages that was left in chat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
read through quite a bit of it.
We were kind of brainstorming. It kind of went off. You know, we went. it went many different directions, but it was
We
very
went
productive. I
crazy.
thought it was
Yeah.
pretty productive though.
It
So
was.
I have a map I've had for quite a long time, and it was I had once did a DM day. The guys wanted to do like a full on siege, and then what that would look like in D&D, and just and our good friend here knows that it's cumbersome as a DM because you're running really two different adventures simultaneously. You're running a mass attack campaign. Then you have to zoom down to the individual battle levels. And what ends up happening, normally the group doesn't stay together. They kind of splinter off into two or three other groups. And then now you're running
Hmm.
four different engagements simultaneously. Can get really cumbersome for the DM. But that's what I was saving that
Oh
map
yeah.
for. That's what I was saving that map for. And then when we talked about this last time, I said, God, man, I think that map, you know, um,
About time to use it.
would be perfect because you have the town, which is the town is not as old as the castle, and the castle was built first, and it was built as a castle, as a defensive place, and it was fairly formidable. It's very high off the ground, high sloping sides, very difficult to get to, but it has been converted over into the Wizards College, the
Hmm.
Casters College for this world. And the town kind of sprang up. There were hill halflings that were right across the river. There was a halfling community there, and when it was turned into the Wizards College, those halflings were automatically the early beginnings of the workforce for that college. And as the college grew, they attracted more people because essentially the town is the workforce for the college. So everybody lives in the town either directly works for the college or they supply the people their daily means of the people that work for the college. So that's what the town is. And so the town is like any town that has a wall on it and towers and for defensive purposes. Um, and the castle is somewhat disconnected from the town because of the river that divides the two. And so you have halflings who are the halflings and the dwarves in the town are the oldest residents there. The dwarves helped build that castle. In fact, the halflings
Beautiful.
know the half right, and they helped build
Right.
the stone wall around the city, and now they're the master weaponsmiths in the town, master construction builder guys in the town, and they're also the defense force for the town. They're the ones who man the walls, and that's what their job is in the town: metalwork, stonework, and they're the military arm or security force for that town. The halflings are the servants. They're the ones that provide direct servant services to the castle. And they've been doing it since the onset of the castle being built. And so they know, other than the headmaster of the college, they know every nook and cranny of that place because their families, generation after generation after generation, have been working there. So those two primary habitants. There's some gnomes and there are some humans there as well, but primarily the dwarves and halflings occupy most of the town. And
Is the headmaster a dwarf as well, or a
the
halfling?
headmaster is the headmaster is actually a gnome.
Is a gnome? I
Dumbledore's a
see.
gnome.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's a gnome.
Who could
He
have known this was
was
gonna happen?
say again.
Who was gonna know this was gonna happen?
I think it's a
Sorry.
good thing to role play, Ron. Dumbledore having to stand on a pew just to address the whole um,
You're right there
university
with
or the
you're
whole
right there.
wizard college.
Well, what he does is he wears a longer robe than he actually
Right,
is
right.
tall, and he's constantly levitating. So
Okay.
he looks like he's almost 6 foot tall with this robe, but if he parts it apart, he's twice his his full height off the ground all the time. So when
Okay.
he walks around, you can't really see the swishing of his legs. He's kind of floating around all the place. And unless you get kind of close to him, which probably your characters will eventually, you didn't know that he was not, a fuller stature kind of individuals. So he
Hmm.
has the beard. He's bald headed, and he has looks very similar to the other to the Harry Potter Dumbledore, and
Yeah.
he's the headmaster. And then the halfling is the head of the Slytherins, and the halfling's a pure caster as well as Dumbledore. And you want to tell her the difference between the Muggle and the pures?
Yeah. The Muggle is kind of like the the unpure caster, like coming from a different class or coming from a different race, and the casters being having a pure family background of spellcasters. Is that correct, Ron?
That's it. So they feel like they've been ordained. Their parents were casters, sorcerers, wizards, and the such, and their parents were, and they are, and it's like it's in their blood. So they call themselves the pure or the pure blood. So someone like Richie, who is a monk first, and then discovers the beauty of the arcana, right? And you
Right.
shift and you switch over, so you have a level or two. You have a level or two in
Be a monk.
in monk before you switch over to being either a sorcerer or a wizard. Um, you're considered kind of, well, you were really never. You're kind of dabbling. You're really not a pure. You're dabbling in the arcana. You're slow-witted. You're slow-minded. You're not
Hmm.
as you're not as pure as we are, and so there's this kind of undertone hatred of a mixed class. And unfortunately, the mixed class, the Muggles, you can always tell them, right? So they're always going to have some identity of their former life. The clothes, trinkets they wear, carrying a sword, carrying an axe, certain tool sets they have on them, certain looks and appearances. Does this make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. So um, the Muggles just go about everyday life. Look, I'm studying magic. That's what I came here for. This is what I'm required to do in this world. This is the place you come to get to further yourself in the arcane arts. This is where it has to happen. There's a process and there's a method to it. And the pure casters don't want anything to do them. If they had their way, they would outlaw multi-classing with the arcane arts. Be a rogue warrior, be a cleric, monk, all day long, but stay away from the arcane arts. It's only for the pure. And
So
so a lot of it will,
there's
just saying,
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of the adventure will be built around that.
So there's this kind of like a divide or some discrimination between the pure casters and the Muggles in this
Yeah,
part of town, I guess.
yeah. It's the word palpable. It's palpable. I mean,
Hmm.
it's everywhere. Like the difference between, so there's two famous alleys, right?
Hmm.
Magadan Alley, and
Mhm.
then I just drew a blank
Nocturne
on the
No.
Alley.
yeah Nocturne Alley.
Turn.
So Nocturne Alley, only the pures go there. That they will literally stone you or chastise you if you tried to go down Nocturne Alley. So for you to go down there, you're gonna have to sneak around, disguise yourself, appear to be somebody different because everybody's gonna know that you don't belong there. And they leave
Yeah.
Diagon Alley for the pures and the Muggles. But
You don't get killed, but you get stoned on. You get into fights.
yeah,
You get into
exactly.
arguments, right? I mean, you don't
Yeah,
you don't lose your life, but there's a risk of the public shame or getting into a fight.
like Green Gots is on Nocturne Alley. So they The
Nice.
really, yeah, the real special shops are over there, right? So you have to go to the common money lenders and exchangers that the dwarves and the halflings use if you're a muggle, because there's no way
Mhm.
you could go down with your muggle self down that alley to the middle of it to where the banking system is. So it's a lot of kind of cloak and dagger. It's sneaking around in the middle of the night and using
Nice.
magic, using not only magic but your former abilities, both as like monk and rogue and fighter and things to assist you in moving around this environment. And you can obviously see the way that map I've chosen. You have adventure within the castle, adventures underneath the castle, adventures in the city with the dynamics of the city. Hagrid's on the other side of the river up against the forest, which he's there primarily to protect the forest and the beings within it. And um, and I have him as a hill giant with kind of a big fat belly, and he's a very jolly guy, and he keeps this band of orcs, which maintain the garden that feeds the castle and the town, and the goats and sheep and different things, and they're kind of slapstick, but they kind of drive you crazy when you get around them because they're not very bright, and they're you know one makes a gesture, the other one slaps him in the head, the other one pokes this guy in the eye, and they do all kinds of stuff and
Three
trying to get your
Stooges.
attention, because they're amazed that they were attracted there because they're amazed by the 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 college because there's always celebrations and fireworks shooting off and rainbows of color, all kind you can imagine, right? Things happening, and so they have the perfect seat for that. And that's why they primarily stay there. They're amazed by by that spectacle, and they like to work. The hill giant's not too bad. So there's a whole. They'll be kind of wondering that whole environment, um, moving from quest to quest, and one quest builds to the next, and one quest builds the next. And the first one I was thinking is, you guys all went through Sorting Hats, and you all kind of know each other because you were all sorted in to the same house. So you all went through the same house together when you were a novice, right?
Will you be
Hmm.
sticking with the Harry Potter naming conventions, Ron, or are you changing it altogether? Like, are you gonna
No,
use like
I'm gonna.
Dumbledore as
Yeah,
Dumbledore?
I think it's kind of hokey. If I'm gonna do some Harry Potter, we should keep most of
Yeah.
it the same. I'm gonna eliminate one of the houses because I kept trying to rationalize why I would use that fourth house, and
Mm-hmm.
in the campaign, and I just can't really see a reason why I would use it. Um, and besides the way the castle is structured, the residences are the two big towers up front, and the what's called the Corsair between the two. Those are the three main houses. Of course, the the Slytherin is in the Corsair because it's like the Taj Mahal of the living quarters, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
happens to be that way. So that's where the novice recruits to the college and the experienced casters live. So, and then they have to. It's just convenient that they have their own access doors, but they conveniently walk through Gryffindor Tower and Ravenclaw Tower on purpose to get to their Corsair Tower. And a Corsair Tower it's a tower that had the bottom of it carved out as an entrance. And that's the main entrance to the castle. So the main entrance to the castle goes through the Corsair Tower. That's between the other two towers. And the higher
Nice.
level you are, the higher level you are, the further up on floors you move. So the very top floors are very luscious living quarters or very high level casters. And sometimes those casters stay what's called in residence. They never leave there. and generally because they teaching the professors in the college, right? So generally, you
Right.
have a group of senior casters that are also professors in the school that live in the top of each of those towers. So they're kind of the masters of that particular house. And then the headmaster Dumbledore oversees all the professors, and then he has a select group of the head of the house masters that make up the governing body for the town. So they have their own tower in town where they govern the town affairs. So they hear the complaints of the dwarves, the humans, and the halflings, the dwarves and halflings mostly, and they deal with the governance there. And at the same time, they oversee the running of the college. So they're kind of
Yeah.
spread thin. They've always been that way, spread thin, and there's some unraveling going on. And the first hint of that, you're gonna be asked to explore why that there's kind of seems to be a rhythm to the Sorting Hat now. Sorting Hat used to place you based upon what your focus of magic was, and it's obviously now it's placing you based upon whether you're pure blood or not.
Right. Right.
And so
And I would think that just to, I mean, since we're changing the entire landscape and the the descriptions, the classes, and the races of the Harry Potter characters. So I think it's just but right to have our own naming conventions or names of the characters and the different houses and schools, but
oh yeah,
have a Harry Potter reference to those characters. I mean, we could say that no, this character is Dumbledore in Harry Potter, but in this adventure, I mean, he will be Drist or something. He'll be called Drist,
okay.
but he'll be a gnome, um, uh, 200-year-old gnome, something like that, in this
We can
adventure.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfectly fine. We don't need to use. We can use the structure of Harry Potter, but we don't have to use their
Right. Right.
name. We can change them up
Exactly.
entirely. Yeah, we can
And
do
and
that.
and
That's
this
perfectly fine.
and this I think would be perfect for the world since as you know in Guildfast we don't have any wizarding guild. There's no wizards guild in Guildfast. I mean you have the smithing guild, the fighter guild, the archery guild, the halfling guild, but there's no wizard guild. I mean there are wizards, there are spellcasters, but there's no active guild or place that they can convene and exchange magic items or wares. So I think going south of Guildfast, if you go to Weldath, where this next adventure or this campaign of yours, Ron, would be held in, would I think perfectly fit the bill.
Yeah, we could have a historical aspect to it that um, not too long ago there were wizard guilds, but something has changed. Essentially,
Right, right,
all of the arcane authority and teaching and knowledge is now centered in this one location. So they essentially have outlawed the ability to have rogue or private guilds. That
right,
doesn't mean that they don't exist. They're just not all above the ground, right?
right. That's correct. Same as for the Thieves Guild. There's
Very similar.
no Yeah, there's no direct thieves guild. Like if you go to the town hall and you would ask the town minister Baron Halifax, like where can I see the thieves guild? Who's the big boss of the thieves? He would outrightly say that there's no such thing in this town. But if you go to probably the outskirts, like to the lower quarter, and you would ask some halfling rogues like, where's the thieves guild, and they can probably direct you somewhere out of town or somewhere underground, whatever, what have you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Anytime there's oppression, there's always a black market and someone benefiting from that, right? So yeah, there's an oppression of the arcane guilds in each of the cities. They're going to be present. They're just not going to be readily, visibly available. You have to work for them. But
They're
yeah,
not going
there's
to
a
be
lot of.
advertising themselves.
What do you think, Nazumi?
What?
What are your thoughts about what would you like to see? What types of play or
Yeah, what are your expectations of this next new spellcasting campaign?
Well, I haven't really played a wizard or a sorcerer type character before. Uh, I've tried a couple of times, but I didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't have any help or anything with it. But no, I'm not sure. But I am excited for it. It sounds awesome.
do you like the
Um,
cloak and dagger aspect of it?
oh, sorry, BRB. One sec.
Yeah, I think it's like a mixture of cloak and dagger and wizarding, Ron, where
Oh,
you
yeah.
cannot. I mean, the Muggles are kind of like persecuted for dabbling in the arcane arts in public, whereas the pure casters are kind of like they can cast any way or anywhere they want to.
Essentially, yeah, yeah.
And just to give some idea of background on my intention of creating Weldath
Okay.
is I mentioned it. Yeah, I mentioned it something like kind of like Bag End in the Shire in Lord of the Rings characters. So it's somewhat. I mean the town part of Weldath would be something similar to Bag End, which is kind of like a halfling community where the halfling workers from the school are living. I mean, everyone has their own um, roles and specific duties in the town as workers. I mean, peaceful, loving community. It's kind of like
Yep.
Disneyland, as you mentioned, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, hello.
But on every Disneyland, there's an under laminate, right? And that's the under laminate. That is what we're going to explore a lot. Is everything looks peaceful and happy, and everyone's happy and whistling going to work, but there's something that's just off about it, and that's that off piece is what you're going to be exploring and working around. So, because you're gonna
Nice.
what I plan on doing is, remember, you're going to be probably fifth level is where I'm going to start you,
Okay.
and 2 levels. You need 2 levels in your first career, and then 3 levels in casting, and that's how we're going to play it.
Nice.
So that Nazumi, you can play, whatever character you really love playing. So if you like being a ranger or a paladin, there's really no character uh, class that I'm going to restrict. Druid, it doesn't make a difference, and then I'll let you create your back.
Ooh.
I'll let you create your backstory um, of how you moved into the Arcana, and then I, I'll develop for you a narrative before we start about what it was like when you were at this school, and now that you've come back, um, how it's different. So you would have the noticeable change. You'd see how things are different. They're not blatantly, obviously different, but just little things that, of course, I won't tell them to you. You'll have to discover them. But over time of role playing and working through the
Like a
process of and everything, you'll see these little changes. Like, wow, when we were here, there's no way that would ever have been allowed to happen, or there's no way that would have ever been said, or there's no way they would have placed that there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
and you'll start putting all those
Or
little pieces
I
together.
thought they never get rid of that, and they've gotten rid of it.
Yep. And so you'll start kind of piecing those things together, and then off we go. And then so you'll kind of carry. What I plan on is that you're going to have two lives. You have the life if you won't play roll a whole lot of this. You know, you're the college student going and getting your hours and everything else. And of course, I'm going to give you the ability to kind of overcome the issue with sleep and food and water because I don't want you to have to deal with that. So you're going to get help with that. I won't tell you how, but so you'll be essentially you'll be a person that runs 24 hours. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Do you like that?
So, like a college student.
Well, but college students
I
still have to
never
eat.
been.
College
Oh
students still
yeah.
have to eat, and they still have to sleep. And so you'll have a life that happens during the day, which is ordinary college student, right? Or nothing spectacular. The only things during the day is if it's important to what you're doing. But then you have this whole other life at night, this whole other
As long as we
existence.
don't develop eye bags.
No, no,
Secret
no, no, no,
identities.
no. It won't. Trust me. But you're going to
College
have to
student by
operate that
day,
way for it to
superhero
be
by night.
productive. Otherwise, I'd have to involve food and water and fatigue and things like that. Then it would become a burden to try to play it appropriately. I think. Okay, now
I've
you
yet to
haven't slept in two
encounter.
days, so let's start rolling. That your fatigue factors. And we don't want to just. I'm gonna try to avoid that and get you more about role playing and moving through the adventure and doing. I want you. You're gonna be doing a lot of dice rolling. I mean, you like rolling dice? Woo! We're gonna be rolling a lot of dice.
Nice.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really like about that Harry Potter movies is that when they check in into their dormitories, these ever changing staircases
Oh, it's
where
in
they
there.
they they always
Mm.
change and people has to solve like a puzzle on its own just
Yeah.
to get to their rooms. Those are
Yep.
they're,
Then they
those
have
are
to remember
awesome.
a password to get in it.
Right.
Oh,
And these
yeah.
paintings that they have to interact to get information, those are
I've
awesome.
always adored the paintings. Uh, I would sit and talk hours with these paintings. Oh my god. I'd probably talk with the paintings rather than do homework.
Would you be opposed rather than just being a painting you interact with, but you actually interact with the painting? So if it's the fat lady that knows the secret on how to open up the this particular door to that house, rather than just talking to the painting, you actually enter the painting like a extra dimension,
Right.
and you have to walk around and find her in there, and then convince her on why you need that because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You've been out all night doing whatever it is, and they changed the code on how to get in, and only she knows it. And so you have to go and interact with her in her setting rather than you know what I'm saying.
And
So
the
Mhm.
each
setting always
painting,
That
changes.
would be
yeah.
so
So
cool.
each
Oh my
painting is
god.
its own dimension. Each painting is its own dimension, and so the um,
Oh, it
the
makes me
people in the
wonder.
paintings can hop from painting to
Oh,
painting, but you can't. You have to actually exit and then go into the next painting. So, but it's a great way if someone's
that
coming
makes
to
me
discover you, you
wonder.
can jump in the painting. My dear man,
Uh,
what are you doing here?
I'm hiding from my ex. Please don't tell anybody.
Okay.
Sound reasonable enough?
So yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I mean, just really kind of. You know, I want you guys to help me develop it and tell me things you like and things you didn't like about the Harry Potter world you don't want to see there, like the Weeping Willow tree. Do you like
Oh,
that?
that thing.
The
That
tree
was
that
one of
beats
my
everybody up
favorite
all the time.
things. That was one of my
So I,
favorite things.
so I
And
thought
like the
about
hidden
putting it.
space
I thought
under
about
it.
putting it there, and then having one of
Oh
the
my god.
adventures have to do with a cavern, a cave that's underneath the weeping willow tree, and so you have to find a way on how to get past that tree to get down in that cave to do that particular part of the adventure. And so I'd lead you through a series of things to figure out how to without having to go fight him because he'll be a hard mob and you probably don't want to take him on.
Yeah, if you get impaled once, you're screwed.
Plus, he's kind of
Yeah.
historic. He's very old, and
Mm.
you don't want to be who killed the weeping willow? Oh my God, it's a sad day. And then they start looking for you. You don't want that.
You show up to a class with a branch through your arm, be like, it wasn't me.
Exactly. But like, there's people who bring you food. You never really see them. They make your bed and lay your clothes out. You never really see them. They
The
clean the
house elves!
restrooms and take care of the livestock and the horses inside the castle and cook the food. And you never really see them, right? And so that'll be something to discover. Who are those people, or are the people even? I mean,
I
Nice.
adore the house elves. I was
And
so
when do you
upset when
think
you
we
didn't
can start
incorporate them more in the
adventure
movie.
run?
well, I think it's still a little bit of a ways away. I don't want you to prematurely end what you're doing. So
Okay. Sure,
we have
sure.
time. We'll
I
just
mean,
let it. And maybe what we can do is I'm hoping is that this will give you an opportunity to play too. You do like to play,
yeah, I
right?
mean, yeah, I was thinking of like running it in turns. Like once I'm kind of like stuck in a rut or kind of like in the thoughts of developing the next adventure, then probably we can run
Start mine.
yours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we just kind of
start
flip
your
flop.
yeah, and then when you run out of ideas, then I can run my next set of adventures type of thing.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think we
It's
can
kind of like
agree.
an ongoing improvement. Yeah.
I think the one who's going to drive that's you, not me. I think you say this is where I want to get the guys to. I want to get them to
Hmm.
this level or this place or this part of the adventure, and then
Right, right.
that's what I'm going to develop to. And then you run yours, and then you and I'll talk about how far along I'll get everyone, and then we can switch back to you. And then while we're switching back playing, we're also developing the next sets. That way,
Sure,
everyone
sure.
gets to we get to DM, we get to play, and everyone's
Yeah,
get to do a little bit of everything.
yeah. And probably, I mean, just like Nizumi, she hasn't played a spellcaster before, and now's a great time for her to explore that part of the role playing aspect.
Absolutely.
I haven't really got to do cross classes either. I
You're
just
right.
been one class. That's
Two
it.
birds with one stone. That's great. Because you got to think about the
Yeah,
backstory. That's what's good about multiclassing. Why did you
right.
change? So if you're a ranger, why did you change to sorcerer? What did that for you?
And the thing is with multiclassing, if you want to progress in the previous class that you're in, you need to you need to take a mentor. Like if I'm coming from a monk and then I suddenly went to Weldath to become a wizard, and then I decided to go back to being a monk, then I should be probably go back to where I came from, or probably find a tutor or a mentor to point me in the right direction as to how to progress in the former class. So it's not that
Absolutely.
easy to progress on your former class once you've shifted to the next one.
Hmm.
Okay. And we can decide. We're not going to do the caster only. We kind of played that for a while. We want to go back and work on the other class. We can
Right,
do
right.
that as well. I mean, I meant, or we could think of something else. Maybe you want to do like a rogue only. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Because what is advancing into a class in 3.5? It's not just gaining XP, but also gaining new feats and skills. So in real
right.
life, how can you gain these feats and skills if you're just kind of like teaching your own? Unless you take time, investing time in developing these skills, or finding a mentor to teach these skills to you.
exactly. Kind of ties into the whole college thing with the casters, the meta feats and all of that, the meta casting.
Right, right.
I'm so excited.
So
Well, it,
I
it
think,
mixes things up. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah. So I guess that's it for me. I mean, I hit my 2 hour mark. Unless you guys want to add something.
No,
Um,
I hope we get all the guys here. I think this is a good opportunity to kind of talk about what we want to see in the next series of play, and they can start thinking about their character development, both in yours and
Right.
you know both campaigns, and it catches on, and maybe you start getting up with kind of a group of people that want to really play here, and
Yeah.
you know.
And if you have some friends of yours or anyone who would like to join our games, just feel free to drop in a message or let us know, right?
I
I
have
mean, if
two.
if you feel like
Good.
we're too few, like in the campaign, and you would like some friends of yours who would like to join, then please feel free to have them participate.
Sounds great.
I
I
have
mean,
two
even if
that's been asking me recently, actually, and I think they were the ones. I do believe I sent the link for them to watch this thing. So,
in Nezumi, they can actively participate. I mean, even if that we're waiting for the caster campaign and that's what they're going to join, they can participate in. You know, we're not asking anything specific about the campaign. Richie's doing a good job about talking about general D&D topics that I think anybody can participate in,
mhm.
and then lets everybody know who they are and everybody right. Is that am I on the right path there, Richie?
Absolutely, exactly. That's what we're headed to.
Yep.
Yeah, so you kind
My
of get
two
a.
friends
Oh,
are my two friends are still pretty new to D&D. They've been
that's okay.
wanting to join, so one of them actually doesn't know much at all. So we're gonna have to show her how to do things and stuff like that, and help her with her characters, and teach her how to do the roles and all that. And
Yeah, so to
Sure.
our viewers, like, please do tell us what you think about the topics discussed. Would very much like to hear from you. Please feel free to post in your comments, and we'll try to comment in as much as we can, reply to your comments.
okay, actually, one of them just messaged me, and he is watching, and he sent me, "Psst, giant talking spiders were a good part of Harry Potter."
Oh yeah.
Personally, I don't want
Yeah,
to deal with
nice.
giant spiders.
Well, there's a whole nother. Remember, there's a forest behind Hagrid's place, or whatever we're going to call him, the Hagrid-like character with the slapstick orcs over there. They're there for a
Hmm.
Yeah,
reason. They're keeping people out of the forest and keeping the things in the forest. And,
yeah,
and so there's a forest over there. You know what I'm talking about? If you go just to the right of the castle,
the
across that little
Forbidden
river there,
Forest.
um,
Yeah,
Richie, there's a little hut
That's
there.
right.
That's the hut. That's the hut. That's the
Hagrid's
forest back
hut.
there.
Right.
Yep, that's Hagrid's hut, and there's the
yeah.
forest back there. So there's a way of getting across that little river easily. And
With Centaurs and Clint Eastwood.
oh yeah, Clint
Is
Eastwood could
there
be
going to
hiding
be
in
a giant
there.
squid in the river?
Yep, Pegasus are in
Because that
there.
would be.
Hippogriffs are in there. The whole shebang. So I mean, there's a whole nother world in there to deal with. Yeah, really cool. Werewolves,
Ah, excited, excited.
giant vampire
Awesome.
bats. Alrighty, so we look forward to everyone
Yeah.
joining us. Right.
That's right.
All right. Thanks for putting it together, Richie.
And thank you, Ron and Izumi, for joining our session today.
Of
And
course.
this is us. I guess we'll be signing off, and hope you guys can join us on the next session.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank
Okay.
you.
See you later, everybody.
Later.
Bye, Miss Umi.